I had a real passion for knowledge when I was young. I wanted to understand the entire world. I wanted to understand how things became the way they are. But the idea of culture always seemed to me to limit my expression as a being. And I never wanted that limit put on me. I started using magic probably in the 80s. There was this really dark part of my life. I couldn't find answers in academia. I couldn't find answers in helping relationships, the social services that are offered. So I started looking into occult technology. I opened the bookstore. I was a practicing witch. I was a practicing Thelemite. Then I ran into a fella named Austin Osman Spare's work as an artist. His theory of magic was create your own system. And I thought, that's just so cool. So I did. I created my own system of magic out of what I knew. And I was looking for a way to create a school that would just get rid of all the crap that's in the occult. And I started trying to wrap my head around this, and I realized really early on that there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And then I met this guy online, and he said, oh, well, you ever hear of the Temple of Set? And as soon as I saw it, I went, holy shit, you got to be kidding. Somebody did it. And that led me to the left-hand path. The left-hand path follows the principle of isolate intelligence. In my view, it is an expression of an individual's psyche free from all other trappings from the physical world. In 1975, Anton LaVey started selling priesthoods. So the priesthood of Satan got together and they said, you want to stay, you want to go. So a lot of them decided to leave. Michael Aquino was a Magister Templi at that time, and he did a working, I believe it's called the North Solstice working, where he invoked the Prince of Darkness, and the Prince of Darkness showed up in the form of Set. Set is the god of the desert, the god of isolate intelligence. He's the god against all other gods. Set had several different names. Set Hen was one of those names, and that's where they figure Satan came from. Somehow the goat of Mendes got put in there. The Church of Satan goes with that iconography a lot. The goat of Mendes, which is, I like goats.
We don't actually worship Set.
We supplicate to no god, no deity. The Church of Satan, I think it's a reactionary organization that began in direct opposition to the right-hand path of the time in the 60s. The God churches, the Abrahamic religions. The Temple of Set, it's a lot more ambivalent towards right-hand path religions. There's no friction between us. The dogma of the temple is Kepher, to come into being. That's it. That's the entire dogma of the temple. When you see the technology that the temple uses, it's not designed to reproduce the same being over and over again. It's like, here's some essential salts. They'll infiltrate your thought patterns and they will allow you to become your ultimate self. And that's what you're looking for in initiation. So you're not becoming like anybody else. Today is June 21st, the North Solstice, and the 42nd anniversary of the coming into being of the Temple of Set. And in honor of the temple, I'm going to create a Scarab of Kepher. In Setian philosophy, the symbol of the scarab is to come into being as your very own self. It's kind of like, what's that old Latin saying? Ex nihilo, out of nothing. Because a scarab hides its babies in a dung ball. And it always rolls this dung ball towards the west, And then all of a sudden, out of this piece of shit comes all these babies. So to come into being as your very own self, and who wouldn't want that? I carved stone for 10 years solid. It was a lot of fun. I did a lot of bone, horn, skeletons. I was very good at shamanic work. Death sells really, really well in this culture. Here we go. That's the beginning of them. As a magician, I'm continuously pushing my psyche in new directions, new expressions of itself. And working with death obscures aspects of the psyche that I needed access to. So I began a transition into working with metal. The act of transitioning into metalwork completely transformed me as an artist. And I don't repeat myself with talismans that I make for individuals. If I make you something, it's a one-off. There will never be another one. This is the lost wax process. So wherever there's wax, there will be metal to replace it. The dangers of casting a one-off is that the casting doesn't work. Once it's cast, that's it. If it doesn't turn out, you start over again. Cooking with James. Yes. So we just put a whole bunch of air into that plaster. Now we're going to suck the air out of it. We don't have a lot of time. The plaster is so fine that it picks up every detail of the carving. So it'll pick up hair. Think about this. Yeah, she hardened up real fast though. I think we got it though. Well, we'll see when we cast it, won't we? Yes. My dad had trimmed off his yew wood tree in his yard, and he was going to burn this 6.5 foot piece of yew wood, and I said, no, I want to take it, I want to have it. And one day I just got the urge to make a chom scepter, and I hauled out my grinder and my Kutzall disc, and this happened in 6 hours. The chom scepter is different than the waz scepter. The waz scepter is the one that the gods all carry, and it's straight. It's got a straight shaft. This is the crooked shaft. This is the one that brings the chaos. So when you see the chom scepter in a god's hand, you look out, because trouble's coming. Black magic is the intentional use of the will towards a direct purpose of the magician to alter one's existence according to one's will. So when we do ritual, we act as gods, and that's the purpose of ritual, is to make conscious changes to your life in a very direct fashion. You're speaking through yourself, to your highest self. This is my altar, and every Setian's altar will be different. You don't need an altar, you don't have to have one. I come from a ritual magic background from Thelema, so I like the ritual aspects of having an altar. I have what I call the daggers of Mea Haset. It's a pair of daggers that I had made by a famous knife maker here in Canada, the sun and the moon daggers. So you've got your night and day kind of thing going on there. The pentagram and the OTO hexagram. A wand, which I made myself out of ebony and ivory. A piece of the Hellfire Club from Dublin, Ireland, which I pack around with me consistently. I love that little bit of history. And the bell is to summon the energies of the Nine, the Council of Nine. So the bell is rung 9 times. When you hear the song by AC/DC, Hell's Bells, that's what they mean. And then, last but not least, we have the pentagram of Set. The edge around a pentagram is the world, the natural world. And most pentagrams that you see will be Wiccan or satanic pentagrams. They all touch the natural world. The Setian does not touch the natural world with his magic. The magic is strictly for your psyche. So I use ritual very carefully. I don't do rituals for everything. You don't need to do rituals for everything. Most of life is just common sense. You don't need all this stuff to do ritual. You are the ritual. Your life is a ritual. You are magic. You're the one that either brings that magic to life or you let it die inside you. So here's our flask. So last night we invested our piece. Today it went in the oven to do the burnout. And this is why it's called the lost wax process, because we're melting the wax out of the investment, leaving a negative space. This is interesting. The flask is plugged. Can't cast it until that's fixed. So the flask is plugged from a previous casting. The hole needs to be unplugged before we can cast. Otherwise the metal just will splash back. Back in business. shut tight. The metal's melted. It's ready to go. I'm just gonna let that button cool down. You can see that it's red hot. It looks good. Like we've got a nice sprue, a nice button on there. There's a moment of truth. But there's our scarab that we carved. I'm going to throw it in the pickle, clean it up so it looks silver again. The carving is a success. We are good to go. I like how it turned out. See, it's surprisingly good for, having the investment thicken up way too fast on us there. Ooh, look. That is a blue star sapphire. Yeah, let's do that. The charm scepters symbolize power and dominion in the world. So power and dominion coming into being with the star sapphire. I like that. Yeah. The black flame is what gets ignited in you when you engage this path. It creates a definite experience within your being. It's like peeling scales off your eyes, and you can see everything for what it is. And it scares the hell out of most people, because nothing is hidden from you anymore. People can't manipulate you anymore. There's a sublime beauty to the Prince of Darkness. You can't describe it in words. You have to be there to experience it. And you don't get there by belief, you get there by understanding. You really have to understand yourself as a being, and you'll understand the Prince of Darkness. So here's our finished piece. Quite happy with this. It turned out really nice. But the left-hand path, it's a very lonely place to go in a lot of ways. You have to be able to be alone with yourself and to articulate your path in life, yourself. So you have to find the words, you have to find the path, you have to create the work. And it's a path of building your own soul. I've come light years from where I should have been. I was not meant to be a whole person. I should not be the person I am today, but I am the person I am because of black magic.